At number 16 on the Iconic 100 list is the 1969 Topps rookie card of the man who became known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but on this card is Lew Alcindor. And here to talk to us about this card today is Ryan from Brooklyn Vintage Cards. Ryan, number 16 for this card. How do you feel about that?
Thanks, Adam. This is a great card, right? On the cover of any sports card collecting book written from 1980 to 2022, it's going to be a picture of this card along with 10 or so other cards. It is this beautiful picture of Kareem, Lew Alcindor, then his rookie year. It's the first Topps set, mainstream Topps set since 1961. So the public's sitting there waiting 7 years for a card set to come out. It's the second mainstream Topps issue. Remember, 1957 is the last time we had Topps basketball. And so people were maybe looking for this product. Maybe they weren't looking for this product, and that's why it's so important. But it's an oversized card. It's a tall boy, and I think that adds to this combination of iconic factors this card has. It's Lew Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's true rookie. It's the first basketball set in a long time, and it's this weird, giant, tall, oversized card that was really hard to keep in good condition, and almost no one did. I think there's one or two PSA 10s of this card. I mean, if they exist, that's $1 million plus. I'll just say I think that's $1 million plus card. Maybe it's sold. The other thing I love about this card, I've said it in some other videos, the background color behind Kareem is that sky blue color, and so it immediately drags your mind to the 1952 Topps mantle, sky blue behind him holding the bat. You just know this was an iconic card, and Topps is telling you it is by putting the sky blue behind him in the picture.
You wonder why Topps waited so long between 1957 and 1969. You pointed out 61 Fleer. You've got another iconic set, a shorter checklist, but I can't help but think that Alcindor coming into the NBA and Wilt Chamberlain getting to LA, right? That those two components really were the driving force for why Topps created this. I don't know that. It's just sort of always been a suspicion. You don't see a lot of rookie cards where you see the college stats on the back. You do see that with this card, with the Alcindor. You see the UCLA stats on the back, which is interesting because, as you know, he's one of the greatest college players of all time too. So you take all of that, you combine it with the fact that, like you say, this is one of the really condition sensitive sets because they're impossible to store. They're so much taller. A lot of them got bent, corners got dinged, and so to find one in a really high grade is next to impossible. I owned a Chamberlain 8 at one point, but other than that, I've never owned anything from the set that's been super well conditioned.
I would love, I totally agree with that. I would love if some listener out there would find the Topps company and find some old timer there and research why there was no basketball before this. It was probably contract related and a bunch of other things, license related. But I mean, this guy was LeBron James times 10 in terms of his debut. The UCLA Bruins, Lew Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, UCLA had just dominated. He's college player of the year. He played for Coach John Wooden. I mean, anyone who watched sports knew that he was going to the NBA. And so this was a big introduction. We probably haven't had a player introduce a sport card collection ever. I mean, there's some other cards that introduce brands, but he brought basketball cards back. Pretty cool.
Yeah, he really did. That's a really great point. And then, the other thing that I think is worth recognizing here, because this is his most iconic card, we're not going to see him again on this list, obviously, is he's going to be passed by LeBron here in the not too distant future, most likely, as the all-time leading scorer. But when you look at the back of his card and you see those stats from UCLA, don't forget, this is a guy who lasted forever. Not only is the all-time leading scorer in the NBA still to this day, but that isn't with coming straight out of high school. If you think,
look, in 1988 starting lineups, there's a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This card is 1968. That's a 20-year spread, and he was still an all-star in that time. We can't close this out without acknowledging his contribution to civil rights, I think humanitarian efforts in general. He's a great guy. He's an ambassador for the sport. He's an ambassador for humanitarian causes, and that adds to it as well. I mean, he went through, with Muhammad Ali and a bunch of other players, a time period where he was looked to lead a people, and that was pretty amazing.
It's funny, you and I are sitting here talking so glowingly about it. We both are loving this card. It was lower for both of us on the list, but it's just one of those that you look at and you go, you know what? It makes sense. I think it feels right about 16. It could have been maybe, a few spots later, but
Well, I'll tell
again,
you why it's lower on my list for a completely separate reason. I've got nowhere to put my graded version of it when I had one. It's this giant plastic slab because of the tall boy, so I can't store it.
so you're going to laugh. It's been about a year ago that I sent my stuff into the PWCC vault. My favorite part of that, the most satisfying part, was the few cards that I had that are oversized. I got to just say, okay, see you guys.
That's funny.
Not that I don't love them, because I do. They don't fit anywhere though. They really don't. Like, it's just clunky and big, and the PSA case on it's huge. And so the card itself is ultra iconic, but I'm with you. Like, I don't love having it in its big PSA case in a place like with the rest of my cards, because it just doesn't fit. So anyway, Ryan, again, thank you for talking about card number 16 on the Iconic 100 list with us, the 1969 Topps Lew Alcindor. Tomorrow we get to the top 15, and I'll start that with another guest then. And until then, happy collecting.